In continuation of our discussion about fireflies with Andrei, we have our first how-to segment in the pod. So these are usually going to be tips and tactics and strategies for organizing within the climate movement, but we are also going to have all kinds of different things like tools for community building and dealing with conflict and dealing with all kinds of stuff, but also more particular things like today, which is going to be how to do DIY research relating to fireflies.
Yeah, and because Andrei, you told us that the most close thing to do for any of us is to actually just go and find fireflies and see what affects them in your area. And I was wondering, how do you do that? How do you research the population of fireflies in your area? How do you do citizen science?
So there are quite a few ways of surveying fireflies. It also depends on where exactly on the planet you are and what species of fireflies live in your area. There is a very good document. It's basically a guideline and a protocol created by the Firefly Specialist Group of the IUCN. It's like 40 pages long, and it's very well structured. It teaches you, how to make glowing lures where you can, attract the adult males of fireflies, so you can see if they're in your area. If you want to do just a walk, basically just a little, either time or maybe a particular length, and look for glowing fireflies in the grass, they also give you, it's the context of actually doing longer term monitoring. So you could set up a few spots around where you live, where in the summer you just go once every few weeks to check. And if you live in an area where fireflies have more complex glowing patterns when they fly, there's even segments that teach you how to do like exposure photography, basically, and so that you can actually, count them on the photos.
But like the simplest version, how does it look like in practice? What do you do? First of all, the lures are like household things, some cheap lights or whatever.
Yeah, so the lures are basically just green LEDs. That is the lure.
Mm-hmm.
You can like DIY a bottle from like a plastic bottle, just make a little like receptacle for them to land on if you want. But in essence, the functional part of it is just the green LED that they are attracted to. And you can set these up in places where you suspect there might be fireflies, in places where there isn't a lot of light maybe. And it's also just a good method to check if there, because males are especially for the European glowworm, this is what I have experience with, so this is what I will be speaking on. Males being the mobile component, you can like attract them from farther away. If you use lures, you don't even have to keep them up for too long, because that can get disruptive. You can just have one for, half an hour. You can like sit around it and just watch if any male fireflies come to check up on it. That's a very simple thing most people can do, just to know if, hey, I have any fireflies around.
So you just wait for like half an hour and then just count how many appear or how many land on it, or how, like, I'm thinking about how to make it a little bit more systematic, so you can do science with it.
Yeah, depending on the actual effort you want to put in, you can have arrays of these lures in certain points of interest, and then you can have a very specific wait time, and then when you go check them, you go and individually count all of the males that landed on it, because males will land on it to mate essentially, so they will try to get as close as possible to the LED. So you will see them just like kind of like bundled up next to the light. They're quite simple to count, and then you write that down, you shake them off the lure, take your lure, and then go to the next one and keep going. And that's how you can quite easily collect data. as well as doing counts of the females just by having a specific like transect that you walk, and you just look for females in the grass for the lights.
Mm-hmm.
And then, of course, with all this data, you can also try to identify what makes them be happy there or what makes them not be at all. When I've been once with you to number the fireflies around Cluj, and we had these like bottles, like plastic bottles, in which we put the green lights, and we put them every 10, 15 meters. I don't remember how many, like 5 or 6 lures like this. And then in like 15, 20 minutes later, we went and tried to check. And exactly where we chose a spot, it was kind of also late spring, but still not yet super warm. There were none. And then we had a really interesting conversation about why they could have not been yet there or not at all. Did you went back to that place? I know that you showed me photos from other places. And somehow with those photos, I kind of get this impression that I found some myself. But I really like the experience of just going in the evening or like when it's already dark and try to find fireflies.
Yeah, even in a non-scientific context, I think it's just a good thing to do, even if, it's not mainly about the data collection necessarily. It's just getting to know them, almost as a neighbor. I think it's that's still incredibly valuable to do for anyone, even if like no paper comes of it or if it's not proper science. I think just trying to catch a glimpse, I think it's quite impactful and quite significant.
But also, like, doing science is cool. People can quote me on this. And maybe if you have not done it before, you think that you don't know how to do it or something like that. But just try to be systematic in your approach and be honest. Like, if you didn't set up the things correctly or you were not sure if you saw the fireflies, like, that's how you quantify uncertainty in science, and that is how you do science. Be honest and try to be systematic and have fun. That's the basic principles of doing science.
Yeah, in the immortal words of Adam Savage, I think it was, the difference between messing around and science is that in science you also write it down.
Yeah. Maybe one last point from my part. If someone actually manages to do this kind of research for a certain number of time or in a certain geographic area, are there like public open databases or somewhere that citizen scientists can upload their data and so like make them available for other researchers and stuff like that? Yeah, so again, there are going to be different projects depending on where you live, and there are certain areas where there isn't such a good sort of unified place to gather data. In Europe, to my knowledge, we don't have a Europe-wide one. There have been projects in Spain that made their own platform for people to report fireflies. But no matter where you are, I think iNaturalist is a pretty good option just to signal and to report on occurrences of fireflies. For people who don't know, iNaturalist is a citizen science app, basically, that even if you're not a specialist, even if you do not know how to identify insects, you can just take a picture of something you see, upload it, and then there is the wider community of citizen scientists, but also actual scientists that will take a look at the things you photographed, give them IDs, and then if a certain number of people, I think it's 3 people, ID your specific entry, it gets put into a huge database that researchers then use for studies. So that is a very quick way of having, a measured impact. You're doing data collection for scientists, essentially. And that's available everywhere, regardless if there is a specific Firefly project or not. And you can use it for anything you see that's alive. Nice.
Yeah, and hopefully that way we will find more and more places with fireflies that we can take care of and let them glow into the future as much as possible.
If you appreciate our videos, please like and subscribe to help us get the word out.